Listen, we asked for calls 03717 223344. We will get Clive Allen as soon as possible. Michael's a Spurs fan. Who's Joe? He must have got a blister on his finger. How quickly he got onto the telephone. Hello, Michael.
Hi, Michael.
Hello, mate. How you doing?
Oh, I've had better days, football-wise, but on a personal level, I'm grand. What about you? What do you want to say?
Awful, absolutely. I mean, it's embarrassing, isn't it? I mean, we were talking to him all week, apparently, the last couple of weeks, and then, I mean, what's going on? What's going on with Tottenham? I mean, you guys would know more than me. That's why I'm calling up. I want to know what the hell's going on with the club. Where are we going? It seems I feel sorry for Frank. I do, because you know, Eze would have been a great addition to the squad, but he didn't want to come to us. Why not?
Well, look, he's an Arsenal fan first and foremost. He's made no secret of that. And, you know, I can't blame the boy if his childhood club come in for him. But Spurs had several weeks, and including a transfer sort of buyout clause in which to get the fella, and they didn't get it done. And, you know, my opinion, Michael, for what it's worth, is that while Spurs is a very well-run business, it's a very badly run football club. There's a huge difference. There is a laser focus on revenue, getting go-karting and Beyonce, and our most recent announced commercial deal with Boss, the suit makers, and all the rest of it. That's great when you're doing that, but all of that can only be of use if it's reflected on the grass, if it's reflected in improvements in the football team. And I don't mean the up-and-coming youth, I mean the actual team who plays in the Premier League week in, week out. And somehow that focus is that transmission of successful revenue into better football team is broken at Spurs. And whether it's willingly broken, unwillingly broken, it is just broken. Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal can do deals willy-nilly. Spurs are the 9th richest club in the world. They cannot get major transfers across the line. And it's a real, real shame. Thank you, Michael. I'll take some more of your calls in a little while.
No, yeah, let's take some more calls in a second. But I think first we're going to talk to Clive Allen. Are we?
Yes, Clive has first of all, good morning, Clive.
Hello, Clive.
Good afternoon, gents.
Afternoon.
It's afternoon, isn't it? As you can hear, Clive, I'm pretty high dudgeon about this, and I don't even know what dudgeon is.
Well, Clive played for Spurs for 5 minutes, didn't you, Clive? So, you know.
Clive is a legend at Spurs, 49 goals in 1987.
He played for Arsenal for 5 minutes.
Yes, he played for Arsenal for 5 minutes. But Clive, you know, am I going over the top, or is this at least a PR disaster for Tottenham?
No, I think it's bitterly disappointing. But Danny, I think you have to understand, especially when a transfer window is in motion like it is, there is many deals that these things are happening where clubs will step in late. Supporters at times don't know all the details, all the facts, and obviously this is a late one. Arsenal have stepped in very late. Tottenham were trying to do the business that they wanted to do, but there are transfers that just don't happen for you, and obviously this seems to be the one. You know, Eze is a talented player. I think you know, he's ended up with the choice, and he's decided to go to Arsenal.
Is that what you think it is? Then we used to just not know about these things, Clive, but because of social media and talkSPORT and 24-hour rolling news, now being the news agenda, we just know these things don't happen anymore.
Well, I think you know, if you were in the inner sanctum and wheeling and dealing in the way that they do with the agents now, and the way that they all talk, the clubs talking with the agents and the players, and there's so much going on all the time that. And really, I think you alluded to it earlier, is that the only time you really know is when they announce that they've signed. Until that point, no deal is ever completed.
But other clubs seem to manage to do it, Clive, without these huge build-ups. And, you know, you're right to say the Eze thing could have happened to any club any time. But then you put it on the back of the Morgan Gibbs-White thing, where for a whole different set of reasons, Spurs went very public and didn't get it done. It starts to look like a pattern to me.
Yeah, it certainly looks that way with these two particular transfers and the way the dealings have unfolded. But again, Danny, I think, you know, this is going on all the time. I think we cannot underestimate how difficult it is with obviously so many media channels as well, trying to find every single angle as to what's going on, why it's going on, is it going to happen? And so much is so public, which is not the way you want to conduct your business. It's so difficult to do.
I guess the question, I mean, obviously, Spurs fans can't be going around crying about Eze because that's happened and stuff that's happened is over. Where do they go from here, Clive? Because the transfer window is only, well, we're almost into single figures. Clubs won't want to sell their best players because they won't get a chance to replace them. And I think, help me with this, Clive, Spurs got a lot of good, talented young players, but they need 1 or 2, maybe 3 oven-ready Premier League players to go with those young players. They've got a lot of work to do now in the next few days.
Yeah, but that is nothing unusual. Every club has their recruitment teams working tirelessly. And I think that the one thing I would go back to again is that the window needs to shut before the season starts. And, you know, these things will happen. They will go on. They'll go right to the wire. There'll be some desperation from clubs where they, in a bizarre sort of way, the reason that Arsenal have turned to Eze is because of Havertz's injury. They need to fill a void. They feel that they have to go and do something extraordinary, which is what they've done. But this will continue to happen with the window open once the season has started. There might not be plans to, cover for James Maddison, who gets injured for the rest of the season. So all of a sudden now, in a very short space of time, you're looking to try to cover the gaps that have been left there. And the wheelings and dealings become quite ridiculous.
One positive I'd say is you've got a manager in now in Thomas Frank who does develop players and has a track record of developing younger players and bringing on players that aren't necessarily seen as 50, 60 million pound players and bringing them through. So, you know, I don't think you're in as bad a position as you possibly would have been in the last couple of seasons.
Well, absolutely not.
Yeah, go on, Clive.
No, I was just going. I totally agree. I think that you couldn't say the emphasis is totally on the development of young players, but there is a lot of talented young players that will emerge. But again, we know how tough, how difficult the Premier League is, along with being competitive in all competitions. So you need that strength in depth of your squad. You need those little lines where the young players can see the glimpse of the opportunity, and that is something that I know Tottenham are working very, very hard at.
Okay, Clive, listen, thank you very much indeed. We'll have to disagree, Clive and I. I think there's a dysfunction in the club. He thinks these are things that just happen. What do you think? 03717 22 Spurs fans only for the first hour. Arsenal fans, there's a slot for you between 4 and 5. 03717 22
They'll try and swoop in and steal this slot, Danny.
You and I will be replaced by Arsenal fans before the end of the show, Charlie. And of course, a lot of you would think that was a very good thing as well. Don't forget, of course, Tottenham's next game is away at Manchester City on Saturday's 12:30 kickoff. It's live here on talkSPORT. Of course it is. And we'll see what Thomas Frank does about the number 10 position. I've ready to get rid of the number 10 shirt altogether and just try something completely new. Coming up next, though, we'll have a little rest from the Spurs baiting and move on to boxing. You're listening to Baker and Kelly on talkSPORT, and we're very glad to have you along for the ride.
Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs, Monday to Friday afternoons 1 till 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.